I'd like to get started with a roll call vote.
Mr. Andre.
Here.
Eric Gordon.
Here.
Mrs. Ingersoll.
Here.
Mrs. Costa.
Here.
Mrs. Ruffles.
Here.
Mr. Scarrow.
Here.
Mrs. Vaughn.
And at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Tadlock for the annual report.
Okay. This year, hitting the mailboxes soon or already for some households is the district annual report, which speaks to the happenings in the school district and celebrations throughout the past year. I want to give a big thanks to Brenda Harris, who spends the school year compiling those articles and putting it together and creating that publication. So I just want to recognize Brenda Harris, encourage all the community members to take a look at the happenings throughout the school district in that annual report. And at this time, I'd like to turn over for the budget hearing and that portion of the annual report on our finances to Mr. Earl.
All right. Good evening, everybody. The following is the budget presentation. And let's see. All right. All right, so attached to the slideshow is our annual financial report from 2026 and the annual district report of 25-26. We're going to go over the basic facts of the school district and look at some area school district comparables, and then we're going to talk about the budget highlights and proposed tax levy. I do want to say that after being in the school district for over a year, as a proud 96 graduate, this is definitely not the school district that I went to school at. The offerings and availability of all the things that we offer to the students is simply amazing, and I'm definitely a proud graduate. So, public finance and education, we have our barrel that we take our finances from. The barrel is determined by how many students that we have, and there's a number that's associated with each student. For the barrel, we fill it with one pitcher, that is our local tax levy, and the other pitcher is state aid. So those things, combination, is going to be how we fund our school district. So that's one of the reasons why we take a look at our historic enrollment. Okay, this is our total enrollment with open enrollment in. And if you can kind of see the curvature, we are slightly on the downtrend. So this is something that we've been talking about for the last 8 months of how declining enrollment is going to be impacting not only our school district, but all the other school districts in the state. And then we take a look at our net open enrollment. So I think we are the 7th or 8th largest open enrolled school district in the state. Is that about right, Mr. Tadlock? Okay. And this very large open enrollment number is what is going to offset our local declining student population. As seen here, our resident student population is declining, and it's being held up by our open enrollment total population to keep us at that 3,500 mark for total students. Our revenues, again, come mostly from our local tax levy and our state equalization aid. And then the next big piece of the pie is open enrollment. When we have less resident population, our state equalization aid decreases. So our equalized value of our properties is increasing, and how many kiddos, how many students that we break that up by is decreasing. So it makes us look more property rich per student. So in that case, in last fiscal period, from July to October, our equalization aid changed by $1.5 million. That increased our tax levy by that much. So things of that nature directly impact our local property tax levy when our generalization aid changes. So unfortunately, this is a part of our trend that we see where the state equalization and that general aid is being negatively impacted by our population. Schools are run by people. That's our biggest, largest expense between salary and benefits. It's going to take up about 75 to 80% every year. And that's just it's the nature of the game. So we do really try to offset our expenses by being as proactive as possible when we are getting grants. We still currently have 3 long-term debts, a total of currently about $24 million, I think, is the total.
Those dollar amounts were the original.
Correct. Yeah, correct. Correct. And this is our property equalized value over time. The new learning to me over the past year was that not every municipality equalized value increases at the same rate. And so where I thought that we were going to have a very even growth and tax rate for all of our municipalities, some grew faster than others in their equalized value. There were some people in the overall school district whose taxes didn't increase at all. So that was an interesting. We had one, the town of Delavan, Darien, that section in our that municipality's actually value decreased, which would then have a negative impact for the rest of the other 7 municipalities. So our historical projected tax rate. Right now, this one's going to show us this year at $6.93. But again, our equalization number hasn't come out for the year, and so there's going to be a little bit of movement yet, even after this. Our historical tax levy percent change. That shows the last 14 years. This year would be 7.39%. And if you remember last year, after the generalized equalization aid change, we were looking at a 14% increase before we altered our plans to come down to that 8%.
Something to point out in the 25 and then the forthcoming 26 budget, you'll notice that those are quite a bit higher on a percentage basis compared to prior years. This biennium budget, the legislature and the governor signed a budget which provided no additional state aid in the funding formula. So every per pupil increase or the school budget increases were 100% borne, or basically borne fully by the local tax levy. Where in past years, they've often provided state aid to offset that property tax hike, anywhere from 50 to 60% of the total amount that schools were allowed to increase the budget would be aided by the state. This time they didn't provide that state aid. So it doesn't increase the school budget or reduce it when they provide state aid, but it reduces the local budget.
Okay. All right. So this year I took the comparables that are our neighbors. The one that's really kind of tough, maybe I'm going to leave off next year's Lake Geneva, being the 912 versus the J school districts. But we'll see that in a second. But you know, schools that are local, our neighbors that are in our athletic conference. So enrollment, again, this 2,765 is our resident enrollment. Free and reduced lunch eligibility. As a district, we sit at about 30%. The different schools, different elementary schools have different rates. But as a whole, our per pupil expense, this would be all of our students, open enrolled included, against the cost of what education for a student. And this is where in the future I might just leave out Lake Geneva and Williams Bay. Those lake houses definitely impact their equalized value per student. I think I looked at Williams Bay. Their total equalization aid that they get from the state is like $6,000 total. So they essentially get zero. And this is where we fall as on state aid as a percent of revenue. And our fund balance is a percentage of Fund 10. Now, and I'm going to remind everybody that 30% is a little deceiving because Fund 10 isn't quite our whole budget. So if I were to give you the fund balance as a percent against our whole budget, of course it would be smaller. So this is just a metric of how we stack up against our other local districts. And this is last year's tax rate or mill rate at $6.63. And that's against the equalized value, though.
This is what I will point out, and you'll hear this at the state level. There's a coalition of school districts who will reach out to our local legislature because we have some very property-rich school districts in our area where they'll complain about not receiving very much state aid. What I always point out to our local legislators, when Lake Geneva Unified's mill rate and when Williams Bay's mill rate are equivalent to ours, or in that range, go ahead and give them more state aid, because all state aid would do to those school districts is lower their mill rate. Well, they're already paying significantly lower mill rate because they have a lot of property tax behind their students. So they're paying a lower tax rate for their students. That's why they don't receive very much state aid. So I've always felt it's kind of ridiculous when you have a very low mill rate to be lobbying for more state aid to lower the mill rate further than.
All right, so our proposed highlights and proposed tax levy for this upcoming 26-27 year. We've talked about the biennium budget. There was a $325 increase per student. They followed that up with no aid that went along with it. So again, that increases local property taxes. The per pupil aid stayed the same at $742, and projected increase in special aid was about approximately 42%. I believe it's 45%, but we round down because they never truly give the full amount. There was no additional state equalization aid. And a bonus for us is that the open enrollment transfer amount is going to be up to $11,030 this year. All right, we were looking at reducing costs by about $1.5 million to get to about even in the budgetary cycle. We reduced elementary positions, and that was actually fitting our attrition model and hitting the reduced student population at that level. We carved out spousal insurance for those spouses that have eligible insurance elsewhere. And we moved to a ICRA model for health insurance, and that's going to save us about $350,000 this year. We're continuing to move cost to the community that is associated with the Community Service Fund, those general public activities that hit public service. We are bringing a 4K SPED classroom in-house, and we are reducing one staff at the high school. And we are continually looking at average class sizes and restructuring due to people coming and going and just continuing that attrition model. On the other side, we did make a salary schedule market adjustment of $400,000. I foresee this as an ongoing multi-year process to make sure that we can positively attract the teachers that we want in the school district and make sure that everybody has an acceptable wage. So I think I figured that we needed about $2.5 million to do the whole spectrum of all 450 employees to get everybody to that median market adjustment. So we're going to take it in steps. Act 20 reading program is going to cost $150,000 this year, along with the cost that it came last year. And then we increased the maintenance budget dollar per square foot up to $270,000 additional from what we had last year. When setting up our budget, we started with a 3% wage adjustment for all employees. We figured that student transportation services were going to at least increase by 2%. We initially budgeted that the health insurance was going to increase at 6%, even though it was looking more like 12%. And now it's, with our current budgetary changes, we can hit 0%. Total general fund spending for education, special education, was going to increase at least 3%. And we still, even after all of our movements, we have a revenue expense shortfall of $400,000 right now. So that will take further into our fund balance. All right, so we have an overall student enrollment of approximately 3,500 students and 450 full-time and part-time employees. The total proposed tax levy of $26,585,735 represents a 7.3% increase. Here's a chart of the change in the tax levy. No, it's supposed to be 26, 27. Yep. Thank you for catching that. The one thing that will change on here is that 2.5% of the equalized valuation. That is just a projection at this moment. So that will change.
And we had not heard of another, what they call, I believe, a budget repair bill. There was a bill which was passed by the House, and then the Democratic senators in the Senate did not vote for it, and that was not passed. That would have provided state aids, which would have lowered the local tax. And we don't know if they're going to go back and do that yet this fall, or make modifications now. There is some thought.
The big change in debt service might be noticed. That number goes back to Mr. Truan's long-term debt prepayment plan from, I think that you agreed upon it 3 years ago now, as a kind of to create a fiscal fall off for when there will be room to make other decisions. So.
Resolution. Numbers, what's that? Correct. Resolution numbers.
I'll go with this one. I'll go with 450. That makes the math right. Bob. Sorry about that.
No. Wanted to make sure we.
Nope. Yes.
And the mill rate cook off, are they supposed to work like this?
No, that's they should work and they're both gonna, if one's gonna go up, they're both probably gonna go up. Yeah.
If property values go up higher than what he's projecting, then the mill rate will go down.
Right.
But the tax amount that's being paid will still be the same. It's just the rate.
So the levy is not just the taxes?
I would look at this total here and how much this would go increase. Right. So that 7.3% increase, if I was a taxpayer, would be a little bit more important to me. Because I know that my house valuation is going to change, and that's the mill rate can be deceiving in that way. The mill rate is they breaks it down into like $1,000 of value, right? And so that way, if you have $1,000 or if you have a $400,000 house and I have a $200,000 house, we know kind of what we're going to be. Your taxes are going to be twice the amount of mine, but per $1,000 we're paying this much. Any other questions?
Any more questions? Board members? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Rowe. Let's move on. We'll end the budget hearing. Move on to the annual district. Let's call it order. We do not get another roll call. We do these, we look for nomination from the servers.
I'd like to nominate Julie Ingersoll to lead the annual meeting.
Second. Sorry.
All for other nominations. All for
Sorry. Let's call for any other nominations. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Not hearing any? Congratulations, you are now the annual meeting chairperson. Thank you for doing so.
Okay. We have the first on the agenda will be the school board treasurer's report. I believe the treasurer's report that we just had is sufficient to move forward. Unless anybody has any other things that they want to add to that.
I'm okay, and for your comments and then we go.
I just know for those that have the booklet, the treasury report was listed on pages 13.
Okay, thank you. Okay. That's actually, I was taking a look at it, it's actually a really good breakdown, and to read through each, kind of segment of what those things entail. And it's one of the only times I think in the year that we actually see that detail of the breakdown, so if you're interested in numbers, I encourage you to take a look at that. The next item on the agenda is to establish the salaries, travel reimbursement, and per diem fees for school board members. Those are listed in resolution A. With the president's salary being $80 per meeting, vice president, clerk, and treasurer salary is $60 per meeting. Member salary at $50 per meeting. Travel reimbursement is just the IRS envelope amount. Committee meetings, 0 to 2 hours, $30, 2 to 4 hours, $40, and over 4 hours is the meeting rate. Those salaries are only paid for those meetings attended, and I would also like to point out that those numbers have not changed, at least from the time that I've been on board, and I'm thinking that they've been those numbers for many years prior to me being on board. So the board has not chosen to increase those numbers for a very long time.
Excuse me, just saying something, we need to take from treasurer.
Yes, so all that is for a motion to approve those.
I'll just make a motion to approve the section of the salaries as listed on page 8.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the salaries and reimbursement for the fees to the school board members, as presented on page 8 of the annual meeting report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Do I notice that we need to make a motion on the treasurer's report, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the treasurer's report. That pages 13 to 19 with.
Thank you, Mr. Sterling. Appreciate that. Been moved and seconded to approve the treasurer's report. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? One thing I think I did neglect to do, and I apologize, is we did not have anyone in the audience indicate if they are not part of the voting in the voting district, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, we have a left door.
Yeah. So I failed to do that, so I don't know if there is anybody who's voting tonight that is not part of, is not eligible to vote. If you are not eligible to vote, then just show. No, okay. Everybody's good.
Everybody, Chris. All right.
Everybody but Chris, okay. Okay, next on the agenda is the self-certification of micro purchase threshold. Remind me why this is on the agenda.
This was on our audit finding. This is
Okay.
us doing this and following this procedure isn't valid unless we get a certificate that's approved here. So this is, if we are making purchases for under $50,000, we don't have to go to an RFP. We can just do our micro purchasing process where we still go and get multiple bids. And we still look at the best, but we're just not picking. This is covering that.
The threshold hadn't changed for a couple of things.
Okay,
Something.
and this would be updated for a state statute or?
That's federal, and this is just, our auditors saying you should have this at our annual meeting every year, and then that way they can look at our certificate and go,
Okay,
so here it is.
okay, thank you for the reminder. So looking for a motion to, approve the self-certification of micro purchases.
I move that the Oakland area school district provide notice that an increase its micro purchase threshold on exempt purchases to $50,000 for federally funded procurements effective July 1, 2026.
Also second. So moved and seconded to have the Oakland area school district provide notice that it will increase its micro purchase threshold on exempt purchases to $50,000 for federally funded procurements effective July 1st, 2026. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed.
And apologies, who seconded that one? Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item number 6, levying of the general property tax. This is basically putting into a motion, the information that Mr. Pearl just presented to us earlier. So looking for a motion, for the school tax.
I move that the levy of school tax assessed against all taxable property within the Oakland area school district a sum of not more than $19,946,450 for the general fund, $1.5 million for the community service fund, $5,139,395 for the debt service fund for a combined amount of $26,587,360 to operate and maintain the school system and to finance the debt service of said system on the basis of the 2026-27 school district budget presented earlier.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that there be a levy a school tax assessed against all taxable property within the Oakland area school district in a sum of not more than $19,946,540 for the general fund. Oh, I apologize, $450 for the general fund, $1,500,000 for the community services fund. And then is the next number also immediately altered?
No, it's correct.
It is correct?
Yep.
Okay. And $5,139,195 for the debt service fund for a combined total of $26,585,000.
587.
370. Sorry, I didn't write those numbers down. To operate and maintain the school system and to finance the debt service of said system on the basis of the 2026-2027 school district budget presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed. We also need to set the annual meeting time, for next year. Before I ask for a motion on that, it's pretty obvious that we don't need to be in this large of a, historically, this has not been a well-attended meeting. So I'm wondering if we need to have it here.
I would move that the annual meeting begins at 6 o'clock p.m. July 26, 2027. 1887 building, or regular school board meeting room. We would always have the ability to move it if for some reason we anticipated a larger.
Sure.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the annual meeting, begin at 6 p.m. on July 26, 2027, and also to be moved back to the 18th due to, the number of attenders. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Is there any other business that anybody? Okay, seeing none, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second. Then and seconded to adjourn. All in favor say aye. Oh, no, sorry, excuse me. Roll call out, please.
Oh. We do a roll, because everybody is.
Don't we do a roll call to adjourn?
Everybody
No.
vote.
Okay. Then voice vote, please. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, City Hall, thank you, community, all for your presentation. We want to take a second or are we ready to go?
Okay, let me just pull up the agenda. So we have it up here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
All right. This is really well. But we're ready.
Okay. Good evening, welcome to the Elkhorn Area School Board meeting, today's Monday, July 6:42 p.m. I'd like to start the meeting off with the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gentlemen, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Andre.
Here.
Eric Gordon. Here. Mr. Ingersoll.
Here.
Mrs. Hotsett.
Here.
Mrs. Reckley.
Here.
Mr. Scarrow.
Here.
Mrs. Vaughn.
We do a quorum, and the meeting has a notice of city statute, not receive any community participation forms. What's that?
There's no park up there.
Oh, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I just got one quick thing.
Okay. Do I get to read the disclaimer?
Yeah, go ahead and while you read the disclaimer, she can come up to the mic.
Okay, just a disclaimer, pursuant to support policy 187, residents of the Elkhorn Area School District, families, district students, employees, wishing to address the board, may do so in person by completing the registration card. Verbal comment periods less than 130 minutes, and the 2 minutes maximum per person between them will reach to email public comments. May use of the district administrator, contents of email may be forwarded to the entire board as well, and minutes for public record. For my purposes, and speaking for community participation, please send the chief by door and activate by the administration. They have phone and email. This will help the administration and follow the meeting. Finally, community participation period is important time for board group education, concern, gratitude, etc. On the constituents, that's it. Prior making a statement, please be aware that each chief prepares a personal list of anything they say during community participation in the school board meeting is mandatory, slander, so otherwise.
Hi, Jolene Singleton, part of the Elkhorn School District. I just have a quick thing. So before the end of school happened last year, there was an incident, and I just want to make the school board aware that maybe we could take out some of the verbiage in the K through 12 student parent handbook. It's in regards to the middle school students that use personal communication devices before and after school only. as long as they do not create a distraction or disruption. Use of personal communication devices, except those approved by a teacher or administrator at any other time, is prohibited, and they must be powered completely off, not just placed into vibrate or silent mode and stored out of sight. The reason that I'm bringing this up is that there was picture video recording without students' permission, and it was located on the playground. So if the laws or rules that the school is creating are not being followed in every situation, we might as well take it out, because it was not followed in this situation, and it resulted in 3 students receiving missing graduation, so they did not get to attend their graduation. They also got in-school suspension, and they received disorderly conduct tickets from the resource officer because a student phoned, pictured, recorded them on the playground, and then turned it into the principal. So if that student was following the rules set by the school, they should not have had their phone on them out, powered on at recess, since that was during school time. And the video should not have been permissible for these 3 students to receive this type of disciplinary action. The students also who got the disorderly conduct tickets, one of them did not even receive the ticket and also did not get the information on the court date. So if our resource officer, maybe it was his first writing of disorderly conduct tickets, I don't know, but the city of Elkhorn never received the information. So 2 of the students went to the court date because they got an email ticket, and the city of Elkhorn was not even aware of these students' tickets. So their court date got rescheduled. The other students ended up getting a letter in the mail saying that you owe $691 for this ticket by September 8th. But that student was not aware of the court date and also never received a ticket. So if you guys want more information on the incident, let me know. But I just wanted to address what we have to read when we sign our kids up for school in the handbook, that maybe we could take some of this information out so it's less for us to read if we're not going to abide by the rules. So that's all that I had for that. And I just want to let you guys know so that you're aware of the situation. And maybe we could alleviate some principal positions, because it seems that the way that discipline worked was the principals in the school did not even make the decision. It was made higher up and then sent to the resource officer. So if you guys want more information on that, let me know. But again, we could just eliminate some of the verbiage in these handbooks so that we don't have to read so much when we're signing up our kids for school. And then the kids could just have their cell phones all the time, since that is permissible in certain situations. Thank you. Yep.
Okay, thank you from the community. Move on to approval of the school board minutes.
Regular session.
I'll second.
We moved in second to approve the minutes of July 13, 2026, regular closed session school board meeting as presented. All in favor? Opposed? Okay. Moving on to general unfunded bills.
The business office is submitting for approval the following U.S. bank checks numbers 155770 to 155772 and 155777. BMO Harris check numbers 162732 to 162802. Fire number 143, ACH numbers 819 to 855, and the combined amount of $264,337.07 as presented. Any questions?
Any questions, comments, discussion? Okay, seeing none, looking for a motion to approve.
Approve the number of unfunded bills, vice president. goes bank, 1555770 and 1557. And Harris check numbers 167 160 wire number 143 and ACH numbers 855 $337,007.
Second.
I'll second.
Moved in second to approve the general revenue fund bills of July 27, 2026, use bank check numbers 155-770 to 155-772, 155-777, the Harris check numbers 162-732, 162-802, wire number 143 and ACH numbers 819-855, combined amount $264,337.77. Then, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to the report discussion items. Mr. Town, we're going to discuss the EASD number.
Okay. It is that time when they send out the news for WASD, which is the Wisconsin Association of School Boards.
Yeah, if you click on that, if you click on that, it goes to the PDF.
All right. So one of the points or questions that came up, what do we receive from WASD? What are the services that they provide and so forth? So we felt the easiest was just to give an overview and outline. We do have the advocacy, the government relations, the legal services, which is there where you can call and do ask some basic legal questions. They're going to refer you to your counsel if it's more substantive conversation. I think we have a board member each year who attends the session at the state conference where they deliberate and debate which issues that they want to bring up and lobby for at the state level. What's why am I forgetting the name of that?
In January?
The delegate.
Oh,
yeah.
the
The delegate.
done that the last 5 years.
They do have a governance consulting services. We have not utilized that. I feel like from a board governance standpoint, our boards have always been very functional, understand their role. But part of that is we do participate in the new school board member orientation, some of those trainings, those PDs. They have weekly or at least bi-monthly legal updates and professional development opportunities for board members. I don't know. I know some of you have taken advantage of some of that. Some of you may not. They do a superintendent search service. You're going to pay for that separately, and hopefully you don't need that anytime soon. Anyways, so we treated that. WASD insurance plan, we're not utilizing that. Communication service, to be honest, we don't really utilize that a whole lot, although they do provide updates on the policy components, but we are contracting with Neola on that. So from a legal standpoint, the policy updates are through there. Jody does utilize their election overview and those updates and protocols and reminders of the timelines and so related to that. And then there are WASD regional meetings. I do attend a number of WASD events, but I do also have my WASD association, which is separate from WASD. That's the Wisconsin Association of School Districts. So there's almost all school districts in the state are members of the Wisconsin Association of School Boards. It is a nonpartisan affiliated group. But recently there has been one or two, I believe Waukesha may have withdrawn from the WASD.
There's a few others as well.
Yeah. So that is, the one of the discussion when you look at the dollar amount that we pay for it, you don't have the option to attend an event and pay like a non-member price. So if we're not a part of it, the January convention, that's out. The new member orientations, all those type of events are out.
Yeah, I'm the one who kind of brought this up in the first place. Mostly because as I've been on the board, now I'm in my ninth year. When I first joined the board, I felt like it was my duty to be as informed as possible. And so I kind of did all the things. as much as possible. As I've progressed throughout the years, I've seen myself do less and less. And I ask myself why. And I haven't found personally as a school board member, haven't found as much value in the offerings of the WASD as I think, maybe other school boards have. I also haven't seen, and I don't know, if you guys are attending some of the community, in the newsletters that you get through the email, if you're logging on to the legislative updates, if you're attending any of the things that they offer online midweek, it's usually at noon. I have done those from time to time. I haven't probably done them very much in the last 2 years. I have found them to be somewhat informative, but I also have felt like from an advocacy public relations standpoint, we now have our own legislative committee. I think the legislative committee has work with our local legislators and let them know our voice and opinion on certain things. That's kind of what the WASD is supposed to do collectively for all the school boards. But what I've experienced when I've gone to the January delegation, each year for the last 5 years, I'm finding myself not aligning with where the voting is been going. So they say that it's, there's strength in numbers and letting your legislators, communicating to your legislators, but I'm not seeing, I'm not seeing us as a school district and being represented in that way. And then I'm also, when we've met personally with legislators, which I'm very grateful that they've been willing to do that. I think we have a good relationship with them in terms of they're willing to come and meet with us personally. I'm just wondering how that aspect of it benefits us if collectively we're not really aligning with maybe the rest of the school boards in the state, or at least the majority. So I don't know. I'm not seeing that as a huge benefit because I feel like we already are making our voice known to the legislators, and we're just one voice among 100 plus.
We do subscribe to, we're part of the Southeastern School Alliance, which is a group in this corner of the state and so forth. And that's something that, if we weren't a part of WASD, I could either way, provide access so that those meetings could be attended. They're usually in the morning, once a month, and board members could also attend those meetings.
Yeah.
What's our cost?
What's the total cost on that?
A year.
From the legal services standpoint, to me, that's not a real strong,
We don't use $10,000.
No.
For legal.
we don't. And from a policy services, we don't use that at all. We're using Neola and we have, so we're not using them at all for policy services. Governance consulting services.
We to be perfectly honest with you, from my opinion, I really do like that conference and that seminar.
Sure.
But from the services, if you were to ask me, hey Chase, this is your own dollars, your own budget, would you spend $10,000 for what you're getting from it? I wouldn't, unless there's that feeling that it's important for us to be a part of that consortium in that group, and is there that added value of that WASD from a lobbying or an advocacy standpoint and supporting that, I think that's something not for me to decide because it's the school boards association.
Right.
I find that value from the supervision administrators, but I'm not paying $10,000 a year.
Right.
You know, but I'm only one person in that association.
Right.
You mentioned the Southeastern School Alliance. Is that at all dovetail with WASB? That
No, they're kind of a separate, I think what groups and organizations have found is that you get more from your local legislators in your group than lobbying from that area. But I would say even within that alliance group, there were some divisions because some of them lobbied to the Democrat senators. You know, hey, don't agree on this budget repair package because from their perspective, the Democrat senators voted no because they felt that it wasn't enough. And even though, you know, the governor worked on that package behind the scenes and their feeling was, well, we'd rather have nothing than something. For us as a district, that was about $1.2 million less in budgetary revenue we would have had this school year and lower property taxes. It was substantial, yeah. And so even within that lobby group, you still had divisions on that, but I think it's important to be in that group, that organization.
yeah, I just know that
They don't coordinate with WASD.
is a large. To this large, yeah.
No, but I think that direct contact with the local regional legislators carries more weight than WASD going to Representative August and or Cinema Mass. I don't think WASD has much of an impact on their position.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
I think you contact with myself, you know, whoever is on that committee or those contacts have a greater. Yeah.
Yeah. And over the years, when the fall regional meeting was here in Elkhorn, we always had a showing. But since they moved it to Burlington, it's basically been you and I that have attended. Oh, yeah, you're right. You attended. I think last fall was the first one that I missed. And I think your board went, right? This last fall? Yeah. So, but it's, you know, it's not been really very well attended. I've attended more out of a sense of duty than anything. I can't say that I find tremendous value from it. There have been a couple of, I would say, like, I think one time I went to a summer symposium and, you know, had learned some things there, but I have found more value in other events, and other organizations' events that, were more relevant, I feel. I don't know,
I'd like to make a motion to discontinue your annual subscription.
Is there a second on that?
I'll second it.
Well, we got it as a report and discussion,
Oh.
so we don't
Yeah,
have to have I just need direction, if there's a general consensus, we don't have to do an actual vote. If we want an actual vote, I can tell you.
I don't know if it's an actual vote, and I just wanted to ask you, has anybody benefited from last week? I personally, wanted to.
Personally, I think they give us so much information that I can be 10% of it. I'd never get anything done.
Correct. The amount of information that they mail us and send us is tremendous. And it would be a full time job.
I think from Black Highway standpoint, that was just that I had this.
Or, yeah, anyone feels strongly or anyone that wants it on the next agenda for further discussion of formal action, otherwise we just.
If we don't need formal action, that's just. Great. Thank you for that discussion. Thank you, Susan, yourself for bringing that up. Let's move on to first reading of policies. The policy committee has met several times, moving through Yola. There's a bunch on there, if anybody questions, concerns. There are a number of them. Again, this is the first.
I also want to mention that ones that are not up for patient, we have to have that approved by by September.
Yeah, we're moving these up because there's statutes that we follow.
There's two apps, I think it was 57 and 89, I'm correct?
Yep.
That the state updated their language, and most of it has to do with how things are reported, correct? Yeah, so.
Reported, also the student technology use, we had a public comment today to that,
Yep.
saying you should take that out of the handbook by statute, even if you want to, you can take that out of the handbook. And for clarity, you're not supposed to have it at the recess, so you did have the phone at recess, that was also back.
Okay.
But they were upset because the student captured, basically assault and battery is taking place on another student, and that video was utilized in helping with the investigation. Doesn't mean that the investigation wouldn't have come forward and that the consequences would have been issued without that.
Right.
It's just that it was made easier because the student cooperated and provided the
Got it.
But that was the violation of policy for the student that has it.
Yeah, okay, they were awesome.
For the middle school, high school, they can have the cell phones during break time.
Okay. All right, moving on to the recommendations of the district administrator.
Okay, the personnel sheet is attached there. We still have 2 open positions. We did have a candidate that was offered a position for special education. It's a very competitive market. The individual did take a job elsewhere. So we are still looking for 2 special education teachers at Westside, but I want to welcome the new appointments that are joining our team. I know the staff are very excited about the additions that we've had in prior meetings and also releases for this personal.
Okay.
I'll move to approve the personal recommendation sheet for July 27th, 2026, including new employment contracts, mission fund tax and background check, disadvantaged truck scheme is presented.
Moved and second to approve the personnel recommendation sheet, July 27, 2026, contracts, position on pass, background check, and district related personnel. Favor.
Aye.
Opposed. Motion passes. I did not have any school gifts today. Mr. Tyler, we do have announcements, correct?
Yes, a couple of announcements. We are at the point where it's been several months since we talked about the video boards and those proposals as a revenue generating source and also a solution to our sound over at the high school field. And so we're at the point now where we are ready to go ahead and launch that out to the community, including what the sponsorship levels will be and what the proposal will look like. So I wanted to make that announcement here at the board meeting this week. I will push that initial proposal out. I know we've already heard informally from a handful of businesses and groups that are very interested in that sponsorship. And it's really, we want it to be a win-win because we feel that it's an opportunity for the marketing, the advertising, so that there's a return on their investment, via those video boards at the football games and in the, not just football games, soccer games, track events, all of those outdoor events that take place there where that video board can be utilized. And then as well, inside wrestling events, basketball games, all the indoor events, where that video board can be utilized as well. So I attached it a 1-pager, which has the perspectives, it has the fundraising levels. If you have businesses or friends that you think might be interested in sponsoring, I know in the referendum bill, we had a number of people step up, they wanted, hey, what are ways that we can help support and generate revenue? This is an avenue in which we can put the money forward, and over 50% of that over the next decade will be a return on investment for the cost of the vote. So we anticipate generating over $500,000 in positive revenue over the next 10 years. And then, so I have that's going to be going out. If you have any questions, feel free to follow up. We'll be happy to talk about it. We are going to have an event we're still finalizing the date, but I believe we're looking at the 25th of August.
That weekend.
That week where we'll host the event out at Green Cover Green and for prospective individuals who want to participate in the sponsorship. But people can jump on board before that. They don't have to attend that meeting, but we'll have an informational meeting that week. And then another update on lights. It just came in a little bit before we put it on the agenda as an actual item. So I just wanted to give you a heads up. We thought we had an avenue. They no longer make our lights. And so we went over, we were hoping that Bigfoot, they switched out to LED lights several years ago. We were hoping that their lights would work, and they don't work on our field either. So I believe we have 5 little lights that are burnt out now, which really starts to dim, and we don't have an avenue to replace them. And our lights are so high that when we do, it costs us, I believe it's about $5,000 to rent a lift high enough and to get it to where they can come in and replace those lights. So he has been looking at for some time, getting quotes for conversion to LED lights. The total project's just over $200,000, but we do feel that we're at a point where we, with the lights burning out and the big book lights not working, that we need to look at utilizing our maintenance budget and
How many
replacing
bids have we
lights.
done?
What's that?
How many bids have we done?
Right now, just the one, he's gonna get 2 more price checks on. But I know previously, over a year ago, he had gotten multiple pricing, so he has to go back and update the pricing. So he kind of has a pretty good idea that the first price quote, this will be the lower one. I'd be surprised if the others come in lower because when he did it a year ago. Up to 500,000. So
We were surprised at top of the polls.
yes.
Falls into the-
But originally, we weren't even exploring replacing the poles and just bringing them down lower on the poles, but this thing came back that it was $60,000 to replace all the poles in the county.
Is included in the 200K?
That's in within 200, yeah, just over 200.
I put it at like 220, but.
All right, so when we have the final, I'll communicate that to the board and that with them. Okay, but from a time standpoint, we actually said they can still get it done prior to.
This season?
Yeah, this is the season. I don't see how I could get that. Football starts 3 weeks.
Yeah.
First game.
We need 50 days to be able to get all the parts in, and then they can put up the lights well.
So by the last game of the season. Yeah.
So until then, we're fighting with the down kid.
But we don't throw the ball anyway, so that must be an advantage. No, I'm joking. Throw it once in a while. All right.
We have a video.
I just have a quick question
Yeah.
before we move on. On the video board, that video board is also providing not just that, but it's also providing us a sound system, is that correct?
Correct. Thank you for asking that. I briefly mentioned that we had gotten quotes on the sound systems and they ranged anywhere from 100,000 to 250,000. So the video board will provide a sound system built in that will provide a quality sound all over the field. Windmill has it, Go, Monroe. I've been to several of the events in town. It's much better than our current field. And if you see our graduation, our tech crew, I give them a lot of credit
Yes.
because they go and they daisy chain and string together all of those,
Yeah.
auditorium speakers that we have in the district and set them up outside, and we pray for no rain. Because they're not indoor or outdoor speakers, but
Right.
so we piece it together for that event, but yeah, this will provide that sound solution as well, which we need to get done in the near future. I hope. The video board itself, that's not necessary. If anyone were to ask if you need a video board, we don't. But it provides the advertising and that opportunity. It also provides secondary benefit. Students who are interested in that broadcasting, that
Yes.
media career provides them with an opportunity for that job learning and that market, those type of opportunities is growing substantially.
And Grumpy Business Manager won't prove it unless we sell all gas, so.
It's not a project that we're going, it's going to be fully funded through the.
And we'll, look really nice with state water and Blossom. On the.
Thanks, Adam.
All right, on that note, we're glad at the end, promotion to adjourn. Okay. What's that? All right, on favor? Opposed?
My apologies for that number squib. Sorry about that.
No, it's